I would like us to take a look at who really rules South Africa. Do you think it's politicians? Do you think maybe your vote makes that much difference? Or there are some other power, real power, that controls politicians and South African society? Coming up. You know, if you get to understand and get to know who funds these politicians, these political parties that we have in South Africa, if you get to understand and know who funds them, you will understand who really holds the real power in South Africa. Remember, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. It's so true with our politicians. I believe with all of my heart that those businesses and those people who fund these politicians, they're not just funding them out of their goodness of their hearts, and to say, party so-and-so, we are giving you this much. Use it as you want for your campaign or whatever. Nothing is for free. If you get to understand that, then you understand, you know who really holds the real power in South Africa.
Whoever funds you controls you. South Africa's 50% poverty rate. Half the population lives in poverty. Yet 335 million went out to fund politicians to go out there and try and buy and persuade you to vote for them. We're going to uncover this and talk about how controversial this is and understand who are these people that are funding these politicians and what do they get to gain from funding politicians. We all know that white monopoly capital in South Africa, which is a group of people that happen to live in Stellenbosch and own majority of the land and companies in South Africa, they are featuring the most in terms of funding the political parties in South Africa. And as a result of that, are these politicians going to be able to implement policies and decisions that will benefit the majority when they are only funded by a minority of people that happen to be white monopoly capital? We look at the ANC. They're funded by apartheid companies that were funded by the apartheid government. Naspers gave them 2 million. They're funded by mining companies as well that continue to send out raw minerals out of our country that cause this nation not to have jobs for young people. The ANC's funding came up to 46 million for these elections. Don't forget, political parties also received 300 million from the IEC, or rather, National Treasury, for them to share according to whatever proportion they would have won. And they get to use that money together with these donations that they receive from companies. What's quite shocking is that the DA, a political party that has been known for oppressing people in the Western Cape, they received 126 million in terms of funding. Most of the people that funded them, white monopoly capital again. How are we expecting things to change when the funders are exactly the same? What's shocking is that many of these political parties that receive these funds are part of what is called a multi-party charter. Basically, the DA, the IFP, Action SA, the Freedom Front, they are all part of the same group of people that fund them. And 77 million has been poured into this. One of the biggest donors appears to be a father and son, Nikki and Ernest Oppenheimer. They donated 40 million to the DA and IFP. We're also seeing that the economic freedom fighters have also received funding from mining companies. They plan on nationalizing mines, yet Harmony Gold Mining gave them 1.3 million, and they also received the total of 2.6 million in terms of funding. They often do not disclose much of their funding. We're also seeing that a new political party, Rise Mzansi, which should not be confused with Arise South Africa. Rise Mzansi has received 31 million in terms of donations. They've received donations from very questionable people in our country. But 30 million for a new political party. How does that even make sense when political parties that have been running or functioning for many years are not even funded by some of these people? Action SA has also received quite a bit of money, coming up to 39 million that they've received for them to go out and campaign. And here's something that's very odd. A political party that did not even qualify to be part of the elections, Change Starts Now, they've received 35 million from who? The same group of funders. I have a question. Are these people laundering money, or are these people trying to persuade you to vote for actually the same political parties that will do the same things? It's important to note that our people in South Africa, many of the political opponents often kill each other. They fight one another in order for them to win these votes. Yet, the people that fund them are exactly the same. It's as though white monopoly capital is making people in South Africa fight each other just for them to win the political power. And at the end of the day, they can't do much about it because it is the same funders, the same group of funders that fund these people. This is scary because we're seeing the legacy of apartheid play out. As black people in this country, majority, we're looking for economic opportunities. It's unfortunate that the people that are funding political parties that are supposed to be giving or fighting for these economic opportunities, they are all beneficiaries of white monopoly capital, beneficiaries of the apartheid regime, beneficiaries and perpetuators who funded the apartheid government are now funding many of these political parties.
Most of the money from donations comes from the Oppenheimer family, the famed South African family business conglomerate, and also from Michel Leroux, who made his fortune as one of the founders of Capitec Bank. ANC has received the largest share with 137.6 million rands of donations, then the DA 125.3 million, then Action SA 65 million, and then the EFF 3.5 million.
Now, where does that put our votes? Do you still believe that our votes still hold the power to decide or to determine who must lead us? Do you think that the power of your vote can determine the president or the leader that you choose, or the leader that's supposed to be in power? Be the judge. But don't forget, whoever pays the piper calls the tune. Let me hear your comment below, and please, let's grow this channel. Don't forget to subscribe.